Welcome to the final module in our series, Module 14. This one is different. Instead of introducing a new measure, we're going to apply everything we've learned to a single realistic veterinary outbreak scenario. This is how these measures work in the real world, not in isolation, but together, each one adding a different layer of understanding. Let's dive in. First scenario, we have a 1,000 head feedlot investigating a bovine respiratory disease outbreak. Half the cattle received a modified live vaccine on arrival, and half received a killed vaccine. We're asking, does the type of vaccine affect the risk of BRD over the first 90 days? We have 75 BRD cases in the modified live virus group and 150 in the killed vaccine group. Let's build our table and calculate every measure we've covered. Completed 2x2 table. MLV cattle, 75 with BRD, 425 without, total 500. Killed vaccine cattle, 150 with BRD, 350 without, total 500. Risk in the MLV group is 15%. Risk in the killed vaccine group is 30%. Already, we can see the MLV group has lower risk. Now let's quantify that difference using every measure in our toolkit. Run through all the measures. The risk ratio is 0.5. MLV cattle had half the risk of BRD compared to killed vaccine cattle. The odds ratio is 0.41. Similar direction, slightly more extreme because disease prevalence is above 10%. The absolute risk reduction is 15 percentage points, a meaningful absolute reduction. The number needed to treat is 6.7, which we round up to 7. Vaccinate 7 cattle with MLV instead of killed vaccine to prevent 1 case of BRD. The attributable fraction among the exposed, the killed vaccine group, is 50%, meaning half of BRD cases in that group are attributable to not receiving the modified live virus. And the population attributable fraction is 33%. Switching the entire feedlot to MLV would prevent about 1/3 of all BRD cases. Now for the population measures. The total disease risk is 22.5%. Population attributable risk is 22.5% minus 15%, the unexposed risk, which equals 7.5%. Population attributable fraction is 7.5 divided by 22.5, which is 33.3%. If we switch the entire feedlot to MLV vaccination, would expect to prevent about 1/3 of all BRD cases. I've also added a hypothetical diagnostic context. If you're using a rapid BRD test in the MLV group where pretest probability is 15%, a positive result raises the probability to about 60%, and a negative result drops it to about 3%. This shows how all these measures work together in a real clinical decision-making framework. Your at-a-glance reference for the entire series. Each measure answers a different question, and each is most appropriate for a specific study design. The key takeaway is that no single measure tells the whole story. The risk ratio tells you the relative magnitude of association. The absolute risk reduction tells you the absolute clinical impact. The number needed to treat tells you the practical treatment burden. The attributable measures tell you the causal contribution of the exposure, and the diagnostic measures tell you how to interpret test results in your specific population. Use them together and you'll have a complete picture of any clinical or epidemiological question you're investigating. Thank you for working through this series. I hope it's given you a solid, practical foundation for reading the veterinary literature and making evidence-based decisions in your practice. If you'd like more short, clear epidemiology lessons, go ahead and subscribe before you head out. And if this video helped, a quick like tells YouTube to share it with other students who might need it. And if you want help staying focused on what really matters in vet school, you can also check out my hub channel, Surviving Vet School. Everything there is designed to make the hard stuff feel manageable. Thanks again for joining, and see you next time.